Oxford Downtown Development Authority, March 20th, 2023. The time is 7:01. All rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Catherine Colvin, kindly check the roster.
Roll call. Okay. Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Powers.
Here.
Colvin. Here. Carey.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Knaus.
Here.
And Cook.
Here.
Okay. Item number 3 on our agenda, public comment on non-agenda items. Anybody here wish to comment? No comments? Okay, number 5, consent agenda. I move to approve the consent agenda items A, B, C, and D as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded, discussion?
Did you want to add an item for the trolley discussion tonight, or hold off on that?
Good point.
Business?
Yes, under new business, I'd like to add item 9C, trolley discussion, and in particular, a sinking fund and those sort of things that go along with it. So under 9C, I'd like to add that, okay? So going back to the consent agenda, I move to approve the consent agenda items A, B, and C, and D as presented, and add item 9C.
I'll second.
Seconded by Marie. Discussion? Let's do a roll call on that, Catherine, if you would, please.
Sure. Cook.
Yes.
Knaus.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Carey.
Yes.
Colvin. Yes. Powers.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
And Johnston. Yes.
Okay. Item 6, financials. Item 6A, I'm going to do these separately if you don't mind. Mr. Schultz?
You do them separately, you said? I was gonna say, make a motion to receive and file the financial statements and revenue expenditure reports and paying the bills in the amount of $11,001.70.
In that case, I'll second that then. We have discussion reference to that. Catherine, will you do a roll call then, please?
Sure. Johnston.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Colvin. Yes. Carey.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Knaus.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Is this moving too slow? Okay, item number 7 on our agenda, 7A, Executive Director's Report. And by the way, before we do, Kyle, can you, on the camera, can you get the, where the Executive Director is sitting there too, or not?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Not, that's totally okay.
We just want you to stand or something like that, you know? Give Leanne some company.
Yes. There you go. So busy month again, and we fit it in with me having the flu twice and falling down the stairs and fracturing or whatever now is happening with my shoulder. So it's been a good month. A lot of work on the TIF plan, just going through and doing the preliminary, like just red lines and highlighting everything that needs to be changed, and working with Tim at the county to do that. Molly from LaGuardian was nice enough to share kind of a work plan with us, how they redid theirs 3 years ago, just to keep us on track and target. So I gave you the bullet points last month, but now that's a really good thing that we can just check off, and we can make sure that we're staying on track and we're not forgetting anything. So I started using that. We had State of the County that I was able to attend, and then State of the Community for the Oxford Chamber. We had a wonderful advocacy day in Lansing where we advocated for our downtowns with the MDA, which is the Michigan Downtown Association. And it was just nice to talk to different representatives and just kind of get on their radar, you know, just keeping those conversations going. And just putting faces with names that we've talked to over email and that we, you know, ask for things from, but we've never really met them in person. So that was really good. We did a roundtable discussion for Main Street managers, just trying to share ideas that we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time we're trying to come up with something. We have questions like, what are you doing in your town? People were asking us a lot of questions about, our speakers and things that we've done just with our grants. And then I just asked questions about some of our upcoming placemaking projects and who people are using for this and that, just trying to get some different ideas, and that way I don't have to search so long for contractors and things of that nature. I completed our Main Street presentation, so I leave for Boston on Monday, and Molly and I present on Tuesday of the conference, so I'm very excited about that, and I'll email that presentation out for all of you to see as well. And we had a special managers training with Kathy LaPlante, which was good, and then our monthly managers training. I worked on award nomination drafts. That's our big event coming up May 4th. You can remember that. May the 4th be with you. So I hope you are all there. But that should be fun. We did our Stronger Together meetings. Our downtown passport promotion is doing well with Lake Orion. People are starting to turn in their little passport cards. And then a ton of planning went into the grant projects that we're going to talk about later. They kind of have a separate package over to the side, so I won't touch on that now. I got some additional quotes for capital improvement projects, finished the remainder of the trolley agreement, and then all the fun administrative things. And then I'm also working on some additional grant opportunities just some smaller ones. There's some $5,000 grants that we're able to apply for some different projects. So it was good, busy month.
Questions, comments from the board? I guess I better fill in the blank then. On the Boston thing, is there gonna be a video of the event or something like that so that we can take a look, or is it broadcast
I was gonna
live?
tell you guys it was live streamed because if I screwed up, but yeah, it'll be live streamed, so I'll send out that link before.
Okay. Aren't you glad I asked you?
Uh-huh.
May 4th, that is where?
So May 4th is in Pontiac, I believe it was last year. They sent us a save the date. I believe it's at, what is that event center?
The Scranton.
Yes. And, it's really a fun night just to celebrate Main Street, all the communities, but we get to apply for so many awards. So we put some of our projects forward. So Washington Square is in there, our Stronger Together platform. We made a fun video with Lake Orion that we applied for. And this year they got additional money to give actual awards. So if we do win some of those awards, we can put it towards some of our projects or wherever we want to.
And then, follow-up question again. You guys don't let me do all the talking here. The training for you as the executive director we talked about after the evaluation, how's that progressing?
So that's good. So MDA, I had to apply to get into it. It's the MDA program it's a 3-year program that has classes that I have to complete, and it's different programs, whether it be a conference or online. And so one of the ones that I got credit for was going to the advocacy day and being at that one. And then there's like some follow-up homework that I have to do, but it's not more than $1,200 because we're a member of the MDA anyways. But it'll be a certification that I come out with at the end, and it's a downtown management certification. But the things that I got excited about that are in there are things that I didn't necessarily know coming into this job, more of like the zoning and how to work with like the building department and things like that. So I feel like that'll bring a ton to this job. But it has marketing in there and placemaking and all the things that we're already doing. I just feel like some of those ones that aren't, I guess, the real thrillers of the group will be good for me to have and good classes for me to have. So I'm excited about it. 3 years is a long time though. That's a big commitment.
7B, now this is a little hard because our organization committee had a difficult time getting things planned. Kelly had an obligation, Pete had an obligation, so we ran a separate meeting. I see Mr. Jacobson's here too, so Pete, you want him to kind of talk about the meeting, or how do you want to handle that?
I would say YouTube.
Well, Mr. Jacobson, you want to step up to the microphone if you would, please, and kind of give us a rundown on the org, since you did the agenda.
Okay.
Does everyone here know Brad Jacobson?
Hello. I haven't met everybody yet.
I missed you with that make it easier? Since you.
Oh, yes,
How about
thank
that?
you. That's good, because I don't have a printed copy. I would have had to read it off my phone.
You're supposed to have it memorized or a tattoo.
That's right.
Put it right on the back of my hand. Yes, we had a organization meeting, Dorothy, Rod, and I, at Dorothy's last Monday, a week ago today. I think you've all received copies of the minutes that I scratched out. Some of the things we're talking about doing is one of the things I wanted to sort of spearhead, which is trying to have a sort of an organization workshop to try to get the committees in the DDA and all of us working in the same direction all the time. One of the things a lot of smaller organizations, and particularly organizations of volunteers, have trouble with is making agendas, coming up with minutes, and trying to record their activities so that a year from now or 6 months from now, somebody can go back and say, well, we asked for this report, or we were working on this project, and there's a lot of times there's no record of it. So that's one of the things I'd like to do, and then get a chance to meet everybody. I mean, I don't know a lot of the individuals that are on the committees, so as I put here, we could do some training, have some fun, maybe have some food and some beverages, who knows? And I'd like, if people have other ideas about what they'd like to include in that fun meeting activity, I'd be happy to hear that. Rod has mentioned about an onboarding manual. Before, we talked about, a little about the TIF plan. I'm glad to know that's in process. We talked about possibly increasing the number of the members to the organization committee, because we've all got things going, and if we had a couple more people, it'd be easier to have a quorum. As it is now, if one more of us would have been there, we couldn't have had the meeting. Wondering a little bit about why some of the things were on the agenda that Kelly had scratched out for us. And then I think we need to get more information. I'd like more information about the budget and our expenses and where those things are coming from. Back sort of towards the organization or the group training, one of the things, when I used to chair the Lake Orion DDA for a number of years, back 20 years ago probably. And at those meetings, usually the chair of the various committees came and gave their report, or at least were here just, as I am now, to answer questions about the minutes. We wouldn't necessarily go through the minutes. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles, for making me do this. But we would try to have the chair people be there so that if the DDA had some questions, you could answer it. The more interaction you have, the better the team works together. So that's that. Oh, I would like to know, I can get that from Kelly or from Kimberly, when the other committees meet. Because I'd like to attend some of their meetings, see what they're doing, see what's on the other agendas. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Take any comments?
I have a question, but I do have a comment. I agree with you that it'd be wonderful to have the chairs do the report outs, and I was just wondering if anyone knows, would they be willing to do that? Why don't they attend the meetings regularly?
I'll speculate that they've probably never been asked, and I don't know that they do the minutes. I think if there's any minutes, you probably do them.
Yeah, so our chairs, we've always had board members usually be the chairs of our committee, and right now it stands that the only one that is not is Nicolette, who does design. And that's more of a scheduling thing for her. I think that she'd be willing to do it maybe like once a quarter, but I know that probably not once a month, just she's got a family and things like that, but everybody else is a board member.
Okay.
Well, to that point, would it be appropriate, without, I don't know her feelings, if that's the case, I wouldn't do it, to have a different chairperson then, who could attend the meetings and give a report? It's not, we're not locked in anything in particular, to your point.
Yeah.
I mean, it just means, say, it's
Or
just,
co-chair.
it's a kind of an empty title per se, right?
Well, someone else on the committee could give the report.
That's a possibility
Yeah,
too.
Catherine does a great job getting design, even though she's
Yeah,
not
right.
technically the chair. She does the report.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that,
I
Catherine?
don't do minutes. I've never done minutes.
Well, it's a learning opportunity.
One of the examples I've mentioned to Rod before about why I really think minutes are important is if you go back to the problems that have been happening with the building on East Burdick Street that hasn't been completed. There's been issues with what was done at meetings, what was voted on at meetings, copies of different things. Perfect example why you need to take minutes. And these really aren't great minutes, because if you talk to an attorney, minutes are only supposed to represent actions taken. Not necessarily what you discussed, but actions that were taken. This is more of a discussion information here, but I think these are actually more useful than minutes in most cases.
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I would
Grace.
like
I was writing a note. I was
Um,
trying to capture the moment. Go ahead, Grace.
yeah, I really appreciate that you guys brought this up in your committee because we had a lot of overlap with some of our discussion in EV this week or this month. And I also agree that it's extremely helpful to go to multiple committees. I had brought up the same thing at our meeting as well because I had the chance last month to accidentally join promo committee and to just get a better sense of how everyone's thinking and what's going on, and also like the spaces where our committees should be working together. So I think like a lot of times a task that we have kind of spans a couple of committees and should really be attacked jointly. So yeah, I just wanted to agree with that it might be beneficial for all of us when we have the time to just pop in and out of other meetings and just kind of, see what's going on.
We'll come back more when we talk about EV committee then too, okay, Grace? All right, thank you very much.
Very good, thank you.
For those who know, Brad Jacobson, he's been a township trustee, county commissioner, and was our state representative in Lansing for a number of years as well. So we try to leave off the Lake Orion thing though.
Is there any kind of shared calendar
With who?
for the various committee meetings, and something that just is easy for all of us at a glance so that we can pop in and out?
Kelly, you want to answer that, please?
'Cause I know when ours is, but I don't know when
Sure,
everything
so
else
I
is
mean,
happening.
we have the committee schedule on the website, but I wonder if I could almost do it. I mean, if you wanted me to, I could just put them on all of your calendars, like if you wanted to see it, and then just put it as like an optional attendance. That way it's right there, because I don't know if you're like me, but if it's not on my calendar, it's
Yeah.
just kind of out of sight, out of mind.
That
So I'm
definitely
happy to
would
do
work
that.
for me, just
Mhm.
because I
Yes.
work from home and I'm often flexible with my
For
workload.
sure.
So if something's going on and it's right in town, I can easily drop in on stuff.
Yeah, and
just
I
to-
actually, I love when Grace was at promo,
Yeah.
and just a couple of things that you brought up, it just brings a different perspective sometimes, even just having that new person there that you wouldn't have thought of. So I appreciate when you guys pop in at anything, so I would love to put it on your calendars and have that there.
It's fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
No, that, you said optional, so if you have the time or the inclination, or if you don't, right, because we're all busy. No one ever has told me they're not busy, so.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah.
Good deal. Thanks again, Brad. Really appreciate it. Speaking of the devil, item 7C.
Oh, wait, you have the other committees.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
what did I
yeah,
miss?
yeah, sorry, never mind.
She's picking on me again.
I thought you were jumping ahead.
She's probably sipping a beer over homegrown.
No,
7C, or maybe you don't want Grace to talk, is that what it is?
no, of course I do.
Grace, 7C, please.
Yeah, so I think we had a pretty similar discussion at the Economic Vitality meeting this past month that really echoed a lot of what got talked about at the organizational committee. We started our meeting with reviewing and kind of reacquainting everyone on the committee with our goals and objectives for the year. We felt that it was really important to kind of reground ourselves with what is it specifically that our committee does, what's our purpose. We don't want to get too leggy in the type of work that we're doing, and really, narrow into how we are going to be better supporting the DDA and what's happening as a full board. Part of what that discussion led into was updates with the Oakland County analysis. So that's something, Kelly, we were wondering if we could get that information from you. That's something that we would find really helpful. Thank you. And again, kind of related to that conversation about how can we, as our committee, better, support what's happening with the full board. That led us to really thinking a bit more about how we communicate with each other as a board and how the board is communicating with Kelly and Kim on a regular basis, just so we have, things documented. There's a lot of turnover on this board just because of the nature of what it is. People are able to do it for a while, they're not. And having these minutes, like very well-kept minutes, not only helps for when something goes wrong and you're trying to figure out what happened, but also when a new person steps in, helping them get acquainted with what's already been done, what did we try, and down the road it could also be helpful for, we had something really successful happen 3 years ago, how did we do that? We can go back to those minutes and really figure out everything around that. So we had talked about, again, an alignment training for the board and committee members. So exciting to hear that you guys are thinking about it. I think we'd like to plug in with you and have a conversation about that, maybe share some ideas outside of the board meeting. But one of the things that we had kind of tossed around was to create a template for agendas, so that there was just kind of a pre-made template for having, the agenda, the attendance, like the roll call, a little summary about what had happened, and then the meeting minutes. We think that that would help just make it easier for whoever is the board chair or the committee chair to take those notes, get them over to Kelly, so we have something that can be plugged right into the board packet. We had also discussed, and I think that this is something that should be, again, discussed in combination with the promo committee. It was really wonderful that Bryce was able to join us, I think also by passing that day. But we had discussed trying to get something organized to welcome new business owners into the community. So not just, I know Kelly and Kim, like you guys are already going and having a lot of conversations, but for us as board members to really welcome them into the DDA. It's an opportunity for us to get to know them, for them to get familiar with like who else is in the community. It's kind of networking. But we were thinking of having something a little ad hoc. So every time that a new business owner comes in, if you could communicate that with us, we could round together a couple of board members and go and do kind of a formal welcome to the community in the DDA.
I love that.
Just a quick interjection while Grace catches her breath.
Mm-hmm.
We had talked about that, I think 2 or 3 years ago at one point. We had, or the board had divided the district into 4 quadrants, and we had captains and stuff, but it never went very far. But a similar concept to yours.
Maybe something too, and this could be simple in case like everybody can't attend every time something opens, but maybe it's like a welcome card that I get everybody's signature on that we can reprint, that we could also like have, if only 2 of you can go, we could at least take it with us, so that just the familiarity with names, just have it, hey, welcome from your DDA board, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess related to that, we had noticed, obviously we're very excited about the new website. It's looking fantastic, but we've noticed that it's very incomplete with the listing of businesses and their contact information. So again, this might be something that should happen in tandem with promo committee, but we were thinking it would be nice to actually go like door to door to all the businesses downtown. Again, just like reintroduce ourselves, great networking opportunity. And use that as an opportunity to get updated information that can then be uploaded onto the website.
Perfect, and I have it on our intern list too.
Yes.
So if you don't get to all of them, don't worry, she will.
That's something that I think should be a coordinated effort.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and then we had a couple of action items. That was updating the website content. That was a big one for us. Also, like really looking into the ADA compliance for the trolley. I know that we had come to the current wheelchair lift cannot be fixed, but I think we'd like to pursue at least getting a quote for what a new lift would be, so that we could at least take that into consideration moving forward with grant applications and looking at funding for the trolley. And yeah, creating that template for agenda minutes.
Do you have a template now?
I don't. I ended up having a very busy week, so I will have something put together soon.
All right. Any comments, Grace? All set, or-
Yeah, awesome.
all set? Any questions for Grace from the EV committee? Obviously, didn't do much that meeting, did you?
No, got barely anything done.
Grace, is that something that you want to do, or would you like me to have, Kimberly start one and then work with you? Would that help?
With a
Take some
template?
of that off you?
I could put a template together.
Okay.
That'll only take a second.
Okay.
Okay. Maria, are we at 7D?
Yes, we are, Rod. Mr. Charles.
All right, promotion committee. I guess that's Leanne.
No, that's Grace.
Come on, Leanne.
I'm happy to catch us up. So as always, lots of little things going on around town. Just to, again, I kind of love the idea that Grace just mentioned for us, Kelly and Bryce, to like start each meeting with like a reminder of what our goals are. I just think that'll help us like focus the conversation at least, because this is one of those committees that just gets like down rabbit holes of fun ideas, which is awesome, but sometimes we need to pull it in a little bit. But like Kelly said earlier, the shopping passport combination with Lake Orion is going well. The concert schedule is dialed in, a lot of great performers for this year, and I think there's going to be a little bit more of a focus on sponsorship and kind of proper branding to kind of make sure those people get the right shout outs. I'm just going to skip over the ones that I don't know as much about, and I'll throw it back to you, Kelly, if that's okay. But and then another thing that kind of tied into what Grace was mentioning as far as the businesses and the relationships, along with the intern, she's sort of going to spearhead it a little bit, but myself and Jess Clement, who's also on the promotions committee, I think we were waiting for a little bit of spring weather to come in, but we're kind of on a mission to literally go door to door with our businesses. We're going to start on the south end and move north or something and just introduce ourselves, just kind of make a little, like bridge a little gap between the DDA and the business owners, see what we can learn about them, and then we can maybe use a little bit of what we learned to help kind of promote a different business once or twice a week, just to kind of draw more attention. And we want to feature things like maybe something unique or special that they sell, or services that people won't know about, or also longevity in the community, like maybe their grandparents started the business here, and just feature things like anniversaries and how long they've been in service in the community, just other things that are celebrate worthy and might draw some people to kind of come and visit them if they didn't know about them before. So I think that's going to gear up now that the weather's changing a tad and we're a little bit more likely to walk around and do that. And then I know our intern is going to help support those efforts as well once she gets in place. And then Kelly, I'll throw it to you for like letterboxing and farmers markets and celebration, because I don't know as much about those.
Letterboxing is starting in April. We did that last year, running it the same way. It's really just to try to get people in your door, right? It doesn't cost anything. It's a fun thing for families to do, but it's really supposed to, oh, hey, I haven't seen that store before, or I haven't been in that restaurant. Let's just walk in and see. Farmers market, Kimberly's working hard to get everybody slotted. We're gonna have permanent spaces this year, so we are requiring people not to just commit for a few weeks. We need the whole season to help streamline everything, make sure that we have a full market. She met with Phil today over at Parks and Rec to make sure that we're not like crisscrossing on vendors without knowing. That way all communication is just flowing. We'll work together on if vendors want to do both markets. We're going to try to work together to streamline everything so that we just don't have, any problems come up when markets get kicked off. And then with that, we have a vendor, Rolling Ridge Farms, that finally did commit to us for the whole season, which is amazing because they're the ones who had like the 3 beautiful 20-foot tents of produce that will be out there. Now, they won't have a ton of produce until July, and we are just running our concert series this year, but they're gonna bring like flowers and hanging baskets and things like that before, and then as produce comes, they'll introduce it. So I think it'll be nice to have them. They are wonderful to work with. And then concerts in the park were great. We only have one concert that didn't have like that weekly sponsor on it, so we're trying to sell that last one. But Oxford came in for our overarching sponsorship at $2,500 for the whole series. And then each concert has a separate business on it for $250 a week. So it was a way for us to bring in larger acts this year and have the money to cover it, but then also promoting more businesses. So one thing that we heard last year is that more businesses wanted to be involved with concerts in the park because they love them, but we, really held Oxford Bank as, the only one who got to sponsor it. So that's why we did like these one-off sponsors this year. So we'll have Oxford Bank on everything. You'll see it out there. But then each week we'll do like little like shout outs to businesses, and we'll have them on the sign in the park that week, and we'll work with them. So it worked out really, really well. So we only have one concert that we haven't gotten sponsored, which I'm sure will.
Kelly, would you address your favorite reggae concert that's coming up?
What? You know what? I will let you do the honors of talking about that because this is your favorite.
What?
We're on the record.
Come on, come on.
Book a reggae band, but they are.
And I got a
very-
sponsor who
Yes.
was very happy to pay more than $250.
Yes, he did.
Seriously, a good community member.
Yeah.
He approached me earlier this year. He said, I want to do something. I love what the DDA does. And this
A
band was a
family
little bit more
that's sponsoring
expensive than
it.
we would have paid ordinarily. He called me and he said, what can I do? And I said, well, here's the deal. And he didn't hesitate a moment.
He was very kind.
It was a lot more than
Very kind.
$250, but it was very nice that,
Yeah.
that he did that. And a lot of it was because of what he sees the DDA doing, so.
Yeah, very cool. And it's things like that I get so excited about because these are acts that would have eaten up our budget, in years past. Like one band, we could have never booked some of these bands. So it's really neat. Do you want to talk about Facebook advertising?
One quick comment before we
Sorry.
move on, I'm gonna let you catch up on that too. What you mentioned, Leanne, about coordination, how would we make that happen? Because what you're talking about is what Brad talked about and what Grace talked about with meeting business owners. So, I don't know, you guys want to make a phone call, or how do you guys want to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have a side powwow just to make sure we're attacking it, uniformly, like you were saying. Jess and I were really gonna grassroots it and take a list and
But I mean, yeah, that's,
just start walking around and see who we can get in touch with and who's available. The owners might not be there, an employee might be there, and we really want to meet with the owners and stuff. So, I'm happy to have a separate meeting and strategize on it.
okay. Just to make sure because we're all talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Like we said, the committee overlap, so there we go. All right, Kelly, you'd asked,
Yep, at the promo meeting, we also discussed general promo for the DDA and using Facebook ads for live events, which is something that I'm helping out with. So we did launch our first ads this month. We spent less than $10 on it, but I'd like to get a budget going forward for that to be able to, kind of let me loose and be able to do my magic using it. That was on the best of the best for the local shopping district, Oakland County Awards. So we just drove some traffic to that ad. There's no way to track how well that did necessarily. And there's no results yet from that, is there?
No, and I forgot to bring that up. We were nominated with Birmingham and Rochester. So that's
Yeah, very
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah, when I saw that, I said we have to try something behind this. So, but we'll use it for stuff like the trolley, informing people better of the schedule and the routes and all the stops and things like that. The farmers market, and eventually I think it'll build followers on our social media pages and things like that. But the end goal is just to bring foot traffic to our events and businesses overall.
Royce, have any further discussion about doing another presentation like you did about a month ago, or is that? I'm not asking you to. I just want to know if you're planning on it or not.
I'm definitely open to it. We haven't discussed any
Just give me a date.
further.
I'll push it out. The people would be so excited to go.
Yeah,
Seriously.
maybe we can do something in the next few months here.
Yeah. Awesome.
That might be something to talk about with Leanne meeting new business owners too. That value-added thing of a DDA.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was kind of part of our short list of punch items to go over with the business owners when we do meet with them, is like what kind of things can we help promote and
Right.
Okay. Where are we, Marie? Are we at 7E?
7E,
All right,
yes.
thank you.
I have a question.
Too late. All right, let's ask, our rookie gets recognized.
Okay, thank you.
Hardly a rookie.
You may have discussed this before, so I apologize if you have, but I'm just interested if anyone has any thoughts on what the impact of the Oakland Township Farmers Market will have on our DDA market. I think ours is a different, more unique experience being right in town. It's very walkable, whereas with Township, it's going to be a destination to go there, but just, do we know what the impact is or kind of what the Township has planned?
Yeah, so time will tell for sure, and that's why we really wanted to meet with Phil and just make sure that, first of all, that you guys are not going to run it on Thursdays, right? And so theirs will be on Saturday. They're primarily focused on Saturdays to make sure that it's produce focused and not more artisan produce market kind of mix that we have. Now, they are saying that they might put an artisan market on a different day, but he does not know at this point if they will do that. I think as long as we continue to run it with our concert series, I think we'll be in good shape. I think that we'll be okay. I also think that we're gonna have to run this year. We're gonna have to see, because there hasn't been another one that close before. But I do think as long as we stay on a different night, I think that we'll be okay. I really do. But that's kind of why we wanted to chat with them and just make sure, hey, we're promoting and helping each other. We're not going against each other.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Dorothy?
Did you guys touch on the summer celebration, or what is that?
Yep, sorry, I thought I mentioned that last month, but I probably didn't. June 22nd is our opener to concert series, and we're gonna call it Summer Celebration just to try to bring people downtown earlier. So just the kids are out of school, we really wanted to make the impact of that first concert, because I felt like last year and the year prior actually, the first concert, like people are like, oh, I forgot concert series started, and oh, we would have been there, and we heard a lot of that. So we really wanted to promote hard that first day, run the trolley, and then also in Lake Orion, it's actually their kickoff to their summer jubilee. So we wanted to promote it together as one of our stronger together events, as like the summer celebration, the kickoff to summer.
Okay. Anything else before we move on? Okay, Design Committee.
Mr. Chairman.
You want to come up to the microphone, please? Or go ahead. We'll let you relax.
I'm like you, Rod, I can be loud enough. Unless you have the name set, the Parks and Recreation has used Seymour Celebration for their July activity. It's usually so Summer Celebration and Seymour Celebration really plays on each other. So since they've used that for years, maybe it could be Celebrate Summer in Oxford.
Totally,
Or something,
yeah, we can
just
definitely.
as a thought to choose.
For sure,
So the names separate.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, I love it, for sure. And we're just in the planning phase with Lake Orion, so perfect timing, nothing's been printed or anything yet, so for sure. Thank you.
He's bucking for a pay raise. Can we go to 7E? Design Committee, Kelly, are you handling that?
I can
Oh,
start.
Catherine? Okay.
Kelly's got a new business that's gonna talk about a lot of what we talked about, but, yeah, I agree with maybe opening with the goals of the committee, because we were all over the map today. I mean, we were just,
We had a lot to do, though.
It was
We
good
got it done.
discussions, but we were just, yeah, there was a lot going on. So I guess we'll start with community cleanup. We're getting lists by the quad for things to get done. Marie gave me her list. We can follow up with you, Kelly. But talking about just what everyone wants to do, we will be doing a community cleanup on April 22nd, which is Earth Day. So anybody that can volunteer, please do so. Going to reach out to the community, see if we can get the high school, the schools involved. Since it's Earth Day, they may want to help. And try to get the businesses, again, getting the businesses involved. I think this is kind of a common theme from all of our committees that, engage with the businesses more, so that'd be good. We spent a great deal of time talking about our grant funding placemaking, which is the Consumer Energies grant that we have, which we were awarded last summer. Was it last summer?
Yeah, last spring, yeah.
It's a $250,000 grant, and you have some of the renderings in front of you is what that grant was going to be used for. So we talked a lot about that. We've got a lot of quotes coming in from the various businesses we're going to use. You have, I think, the BSI quote you put that in the packet?
Yes, it's in the packet.
Okay. And that's for the concrete work, et cetera. And some of our renderings show the concrete and the permanent kind of furniture, and we have the fire pit. We have some electrical boxes that we want to decorate around. We have to get information from DTE to see if that's okay, because they'll just rip it out if we don't do something with it. So we talked a lot about all of these. We came up with some renderings, and you have the rendering of the mural that's going to go by Grab Calf. That this is the one you have is something that we all did agree on. The design committee today did actually agree that that was our favorite one. And we liked the "We belong here, you belong here" kind of message. So did that, and Scott Cree was there, who is an Oxford resident, but he works for the county, and he had some really great maps and overlays and visuals. And he's talking about places where we can put in parking and some crosswalks across Burdick, because as we all know, we all jaywalk across Burdick now from one quad to the other. So we're trying to get something put in place that actually makes it legal and safe for us to do. So he had some great ideas, and I'm not sure if we can invite him back, but
He actually would I need to run his application through RED, but he would like to be a part of the design committee moving forward. So
he was very
he's awesome.
helpful. Yeah. So, and I'm not sure. We had many different side committees going on during.
It was a lot, and I knew it would kind of be like that just because we were trying to put it all. But we met for 2 hours today,
Right,
so
it was
great.
Oh, it was productive. It was.
Catherine, quick comment then. You mentioned working with the schools, and they have a building downtown going back to when Bill Skilling was superintendent. What's the plan there? Do you have somebody who is going to contact the schools? Or is it just a talk? I mean, is it something that somebody volunteered for, or what?
For what?
She's contacting the schools to help out with some participation with the students.
For Earth Day?
Earth
you
Day,
mean?
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is somebody on the committee going to call the school district?
Oh, I have, yeah. Already good. They're on our email list to go out for Earth Day. So we have a whole email list for our volunteers in the schools is on there. Because we put it on Peach Jar and all those things. So yeah, we'll make sure to take care of that.
And okay. Okay, anything else?
Anything?
No, I think that was great. I know we're gonna go a little more into detail for numbers. But yeah, I think that's awesome.
Okay, item 8A, power washing estimate. Who would like to handle this? Kelly or Mr. Medora, would you like to stand up to the microphone, please? No? You're feeling shy today?
Feeling shy, but I'll give his praises, that's fine. So you looked at Excel's, their proposal last month, which was great, right? We worked with them before, they were wonderful to work with, but the 2550, we thought, okay, let's go back and get a few more. So instead of calling company, I'm like, we just need to call the village. So Joe was really great, got with Don and looked at not only doing the planters, but what would it look like to do the planters and the tables and chairs and the street lights that are all dirty, and pretty much just, give a good scrub down to everything that has sat all winter, right, in this month, and came up with the hours. It would have been 3,271 that you have on your spreadsheet there, but they are willing to do it for 1,800, which is a great savings to us. And it's also, leaning on our friends of the village. So I would like to approve this instead of the other proposal.
Make a motion to approve the village DPW doing it for $1,800 price, and thank you very much for being part of the community.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
Seconded by Grace, so let's have a discussion about that. So Catherine, would you do a roll call, please?
Sure. Johnston.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Colvin, yes. Carey.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Knaus.
Yes.
And Cook.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Okay, let's see. That was nice. 8B, I assume that's you again, Kelly.
Yeah, so last month month, we talked about the intern, but you guys wanted to see more of a comprehensive list of what we could get her to do. And so I actually asked Kimberly if she would be comfortable doing the list and kind of managing her moving forward, just to take a little bit off me, but just feeling like Kimberly is totally capable of doing that. So she put this together. And I would just ask that if there's anything that is on here that, you know, you would like to see change or more focus on one thing than the other, either tonight you can say it and I can relay that to Kimberly, or just reach out to Kimberly and tell her how you feel about certain items. But she starts May 15th. So that's this list, okay?
When does she start, when's the intern start, Kelly?
May 15th.
Kelsey?
How do we find the intern, and who, can you say who it is yet?
Oh, okay, so this is actually really neat. We went over this last month, but the For Communities Foundation actually sent it to me, and it's a grant program through them, and they pay for half. So in this, the village will get her 4 hours per week to do social for Joe, and then, but if anybody at any DDAs or anybody at the county, they can all go through the grant program through the For Communities Foundation. Kathy, does anybody remember Kathy's last name? I can't remember.
I knew it was
But
through,
regardless, go ahead.
I knew it was through that, but I just, how did you pick who the intern is? That's also through the foundation?
That is, so they actually
Yes.
bring so we gave them a scope of, this is what we would like our intern to do, this is kind of what we're looking for, this is kind of the personality that we think would fit great. And then they get all the applications in, and then they brought us who they thought would fit, and then we got to interview her with the foundation.
Gotcha.
So really kind of a neat process, and I was able to then put another student from Oakland University in touch with the foundation, and they're gonna be at Lake Orion for Lake Orion's new intern. So really neat process.
Maybe if you get a chance, you can shoot the resume, a copy to Kelsey too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for catching me up. There's definitely some things on here that I have questions about, so
Yeah.
I'll just get with you.
For sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank
Her
you.
resume and everything was in the last month's board packet. So.
Perfect, I'll check that out. Thank you.
Inlay City. Okay, 8C, do you want to handle that too, Kelly, or you need to catch your breath?
You
or
know what, I put this in here. At this point, there's nothing that we need to do for the TIF plan. I just wanted you to see this. This is what Lake Orion sent us. This is in a Google Doc that I'm going to send you the access to so that you can see my progress throughout the month in case you don't want to wait until the next board meeting. But I just wanted you guys to have a printout to show you what this will look like. And then I'll send you the link so that you can see the progress anytime you want. You can log in.
Set? Another question about the TIF plan? You all good to go? New business consumers energy project updates and some quotes. Kelly and I talked about that a little bit earlier today, and we both agreed, and so did Mr. Madore and I, and talked about it too, making sure that we're all aware of what's going on with our grant money, how it's going to be spent, and the quotes and things like that. So it's kind of an FYI.
Yeah. Catherine, do you want to start and then I can fill in gaps?
Yeah, well, as I was saying earlier, for the design committee, you have some renderings in front of you, but we need to get started. We want to get started in April, so that's 2 weeks. That's actually good for the businesses, but it's also BSI's requirement. They need to get started. So you have the quotes in front of you from BSI, which is Birmingham Seal Coat's new name, which I learned today. So for everyone that's interested, but from the renderings, as you can see, and I'm not sure how many of you saw the original renderings when we got the consumers grant, but this is going to be in the, no wait, I'm gonna get the northeast, thank you. I'm terrible with directions. The northeast quad, and it's going, so we're going to put in the concrete and have some stamped concrete and the permanent furniture. And
This one?
did we agree to put in the fire pit? We talked about the fire pit. We need to run gas lines for that and put in the I said the permanent furniture, decorative around the DTE boxes if we can, depending on what DTE will let us do. I spoke with somebody that may know if there's a fire issue, and he said no.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Yeah, so, and the archways, which we're going to put, and there will be archways like this for a lot of the different quads that just say, you know, downtown Oxford, and kind of welcome you in to the area, so you know you're entering, you know, downtown Oxford. And so yes, this is the northeast quad. There's also going to, did we include the quotes for the southeast?
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to just say. So because we are going to do the T-Mobile grant and the Consumers Energy grant at the same time, we're doing them at the same time because we're getting a better price to do it all at the same time with equipment and everything that we have to buy. So I'm taking that money and for, you know, just time's sake, we'll look at that as one pot of money. So in the Consumers Energy grant application, even though we said the focus will be on that northeast quad, we did say that there are other quads where we could use some of this funding to complete the T-Mobile project. So, for example, we're going to take probably roughly $35,000 and use the Consumers Energy money over to complete the Victorious project. And that's this rendering that you have here. And that's with the first rendering that you've all seen, you're all at the grant presentation, or most of you were. This is just showing, this is the old party shop. That's the rendering for the party shop, so. But long story short, we've been working with Birmingham Seal Coat on this since last spring because there are just so many moving pieces, because they need to hire more of like a brick contractor to do like this permanent seating wall and the fireplace. We're working with NES to run the lines. We're working with Nick on the mural. The archways, Caveman and Pip have an iron worker who actually does these. So our thought process was leaving off the date and just having this downtown Oxford with the black wrought iron. This is an 11 by 11. And then the brick worker would come in and build up around it, so they would have to coordinate. We're working with Excel on the lighting, who's done most of our lighting downtown. And then Craig Shagina quoted out that Trexgate that would surround like the DT, the big boxes. So right now with all the quotes that we have, and I talked with BSI probably way too many times and they would like to talk to me today, going back and forth on numbers, but out of the 300,000 that we have for both grants, we're roughly at 272 if you look at that spreadsheet. The things that are not on there is an archway for the square, which I still feel very adamant that we do to match these black archways. Some movable planters in the back spaces there, speakers, and then additional movable seating. So you see the umbrellas and the movable seating. But we have some wiggle room. We're at 272, we have 300,000. We know that we have more funding coming in from the county that will probably amount to closer to that 300,000 to 400,000 mark that will supplement this as well. But for all intents and purposes, we have to get started in April. So the important thing is really getting that concrete done.
Kelsey?
Is there any concern about not getting multiple bids on each part of the project, particularly if there's county funding being used?
So the county funding, we don't even have yet. So I definitely think that that is something that we will have to do. Since this was grant funded, they did not require us to get multiple bids. But yeah, I think with the county funding, we'll have to, and I'm sure that that'll be a stipulation, especially because it's going to be considered ARPA funding coming down.
Oh, absolutely. And the type of contractor you can use then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Dorothy?
So I'm just, the schools, are they on board with having this stuff on their property?
There's, this is, yes, so the schools only runs out, I think, part way, but they are so excited. They actually wrote the letter that helped us secure the funding in the first place. Yeah.
Is there any conversation or comments regarding the other archway? Is everyone in favor of that in general? Any comments?
On Washington Square?
The one that, should we just talk the second one? Does that make sense to everybody, or? I mean, personally, I do. Grace?
I think that would help with the consistency, which is one of our EV mission objectives is to help create a cohesive corridor, and I really do think that that would help tie the kind of corridors together. Yeah.
I have a question.
Marie?
So are the archways going to be at every location where we're doing these improvements? So the southeast quadrant, the northeast quadrant, and Washington Square?
My hope is to have them consistent throughout the district. We talked today about kind of in that Edison alley where our lights are, between Caveman and Pip and the pet shop right now, having one there that people can see from M24.
Okay.
In here is the one behind Naps, and then also off Burdick Street going into the alley by Victoria's, between Creative Embroidery, you know, that little side one. So that's what's in the proposal here that's added into the 272.
Okay. And Washington Square as well?
Washington Square is not in here.
Okay.
But we would like to add that.
We would.
Could we add that if it's privately owned though? You're talking on the public part though there, right?
This is the public, yeah, this is the public part. So the only thing, and I talked to Nicolette about this later, because I thought about that too, is say for some reason, you know, somebody bought that property or that went away, could we still utilize the arch by taking it to a different location? And she was getting with the contractor for that to make sure that that would be a possibility.
Grace?
And just for some clarification on that, would they all say downtown Oxford?
That did come up in design today. We did like the consistency of downtown Oxford.
Well, I was just thinking
but
that would
open
make
to
it-
suggestions.
That would make it more flexible, so, because if we had one that said Washington Square,
Yes.
then we wouldn't be able to move it, but if it just said downtown Oxford, then it would be
Great point.
flexible.
Great idea, yeah.
Great
Love
point.
that.
Thank you, Grace. You get a pay raise too. Share it with Brad. Any other comments? All these good ideas, keep them flowing. Okay. 9C, the trolley, or monthly subject.
Oh, sorry, 9B, Brad.
I'm sorry, 9B. Jeez, I jumped right out of that, huh?
Okay.
Oh, Marie let me down in my moment of need.
I quit that
Oh,
job.
Marie.
You
Jeez,
fired her too soon.
really?
Mr. Medora at the village wanted me to share
Site
this
plan
with
review
you.
at planning commission, right? 9B. All right.
Planning commission meets tomorrow, so Joe was nice enough to give us the scoop before they go to planning commission, since this does fall into our district.
Mr. Medora, would you kind of stand up here and give us the highlights and
Couldn't get away from it.
give you a chance to stretch your legs?
You wanna see this?
This is all for you.
Yeah.
Because this is in the district, Mario from McKenna, our planner, wanted to get some feedback. We met with the property owner last summer when we first were given the plans, and the property hadn't even been split and combined and all those things yet either. That only recently was completed. Our initial concern was the design, especially on the front. We're not as concerned about the rear, which faces a big 10-foot solid wall between that property and the residential on Davison Street behind it. And even the north and south aren't much visible at all to the public, unless you drive right back in there. But the front is one that's going to have some concern with even with the planning commission tomorrow night, to make it look nicer. So there's a part of our ordinance that describes about how it needs to be in sync, so to speak, with the surrounding area. And the owner, one of his things, well, I'd be happy to put brick on it, but you can't get brick masons at this time. Well, that's not your concern, it's not my concern, not the planning commission's concern. It's more of our concern is the end product. So I think that's what's probably gonna happen tomorrow night is, well, you can, if it goes forward and it gets approved with the requirement to have some brick facade on the front, the brick may not get on until August, September, who knows? But I think that's probably the direction the planning commission is gonna take tomorrow. But other than that, I guess some feedback from the DDA is all we're looking for.
How other than in our area, how does it affect or impact, what's the involvement of the DDA in this?
Just for visual, basically. It's an accessory building approved, the use, it's personal storage use, it's not a, some people would look at that and think it's a rental situation, and it's not. It's the owner that wants to use it for their own personal use.
So it's kind of an FYI, what's going on within.
Yeah. And then again, Mario's request or thought process was, you know, design-wise, how it looks. It's right on the edge of the downtown. Just some feedback. I think we kind of knew what you guys might think, and it's kind of plain and pole barn, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Even though there was some attempt to move the metals around and stuff,
That's your job.
to break it up a little bit, it's still, and the windows in the front, it's made to look a little nicer, but it's still a pole barn.
So I guess what
Grace?
is the extent of feedback that we could give as a DDA right now?
Design type,
Okay.
Aesthetics, how you want it to blend in more with the downtown, those kind of things.
I'll answer to Grace. What time's the meeting tomorrow, Joe?
7.
7. Grace, there might be something you want to attend and give that feedback. I think it'd be well received.
Right here in this room.
You know how to get here, right?
I do know how to get here. I'll have to save
Maybe
my
design
break.
committee should go. Seriously, I'm not jesting. I think that'd be
no.
important feedback. you know.
I do strongly think that at least a brick facade would help for consistency, just because like our downtown is primarily brick. It
Yes.
adds to that kind of
And
old
again,
town charm.
this is back, but when you drive that stretch of the road and you look between the two buildings, it's, here's a building, and it is directly between them. So you definitely see the frontage of this building when you drive
Pete,
by.
you gonna say something?
Trying to keep with the designation of the Oxford as kind of the historical, whatever, this meets none of that criteria whatsoever. It's basically putting up an industrial pole barn, like you just said. It doesn't fit the design or the look of the neighborhood whatsoever at all.
And I'm not sure, and if not, I apologize, if I should have included Mario's review letter, which he touches base on that a lot, how our ordinance has that kind of a stipulation in it. It's gray area than how restrictive you can be on certain individual designs and stuff on the building, I guess.
Grace?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's going to be any pushback to consistency with, is it like a horse feed? Do you know the place I'm talking about? It's like right underneath the footbridge.
Yeah, the just north of that. the old
Yeah,
Oxford
because like
Farm Care.
that's not exactly within the rest of the aesthetic of the downtown as well. And I'm just wondering if there's going to be any pushback from us asking for.
Well, there will be some, I'm sure. But again, it's all finding a spot that everyone can agree with. And I think the planning commissioners are gonna be in the same boat. Our planner was on the same page with you all, that this needs to be upped a few notches.
Other comments, please? Board members about this? Dorothy?
I guess it would depend, there used to be a color palette that was encouraged, if not sort of strictly encouraged.
Yeah, and I'd have to touch base with Mario on that. Our reviewer does all the plan reviews to see, I don't know if he looked into that section of it. That was more of a DDA thing, I think.
Yeah, because it's hard for me to determine, like, what is this like raw steel, or is this going to be like Terratone brown? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, and we didn't have colors, but he might be having noted on there. Oh yeah, dark gray. We've not had any provided to us in color. This is all we really have for it, and this came from the architects.
Just says black and dark gray.
Dark gray, dark gray. Yep. And like I said, yeah, there was some attempt to put the windows on it and to make some of the siding, break it up a little bit. But I think,
Well, Joe, I'm going to say this, overall, I think the impression you're getting from everybody is that it would be nice to make it look better than what it's going to be. Historical, brick,
That's a
et cetera.
conversation we've
Kelsey,
already had.
I'm going to ask Kelsey why she's here too. The village council, have you guys been exposed to this yet?
No, we wouldn't see it typically.
Yeah.
It would just go to the planning commission.
yeah.
Okay. So here again, if somebody wants to take the initiative and show up tomorrow night, here, 7 o'clock. And I think there's unanimity of.
There's plenty, there's several things on the planning commission, and this is like the third item, and there's a couple other ones in front of that one as well that you're pretty involved, I think, so.
Well,
Yeah,
I think you're hearing a consensus about kind of what you've already,
right,
Point
and
it
we're
out.
already aware of, and Mario is, and there's parts of the ordinance that he's trying to address with that.
anything else, folks? Nope. So get your placards and your signs and get out there, right? All right. All right, 9C, finally, we're back to our trolley discussion again. All right. Can't have a meeting without a trolley discussion, you know? Even after we sell the thing, we're still gonna have to talk about it,
Yep.
okay? So who wants to start? The reason I thought the trolley on the, at the EV committee was brought up about checking into, if you would, Kelly, or if you want to ask Kimberly to check into what it would cost to make it ADA compliant.
Yep.
You know,
I have that on my
and I know
list.
we talked about it, and there was conversation that it wasn't fixable, but at least we like to get at least some official word on that, you know. Second thing I thought of too is I've been approached a couple of times about renting our trolley. And remember, the Oxford DDA owns it. So I think we would have to have some rules, regulations, guidelines, et cetera, about what we would do with the trolley when that person or persons approaches us about using our trolley, running it out, compensation, liability issues, all those kinds of things like that. Does that make sense? You know, I mean, I could see where somebody says, hey, got a wedding coming up, can I use the trolley to take the wedding party somewhere, or a special event? I mean, just last week I was approached, there's an event down in Oakland Township for wounded veterans, I mean, possibly using it for that, and I deferred all that, by the way, but just want to make sure we're aware of this, we plan ahead of time as opposed to reacting. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
so NODA would like to be able to run it out because they have gotten calls, but my thought was making sure that obviously it's not running on a day that we want to use it. 2, it would get our approval in advance, and then 3, that we would be compensated for it, so that it would just be a pass-through from NODA.
And I would even suggest not even a pass-through. I would like to make some money on it because we have other expenses in the future. The other thing that's not on our agenda, by the way, is a sinking fund. It was on there before, we missed it. But with the repairs coming up and even this ADA compliant thing, can we, if it cost us whatever X number of dollars to operate it for an hour, you know, maybe part of it has to go into a sinking fund, so we're not gonna be eating new tires in 6 months. So,
You didn't even see me move, did
he
you?
just wandered.
Like a
right
feather, man.
God, he is stealthy.
My concern is insurance and coverage, and our policy has it, we have it on the books as, used as X, now we're talking about Y and Z. There's those considerations. I think there's always a stipulation now with no alcohol on board and stuff like that, so these wedding parties, obviously you would have to comply with all those rules, and I think Rod's thing is a perfect example of, if it costs $300 to run it for 4 hours with NODA, well, it's $800 to rent it, or
Right.
something like that. You need to cover those other costs, we'll build up some maintenance costs.
So guidelines, you know, go ahead, Kelsey.
I just want to mention, I think, just in my nature, we should have like a pretty strongly written lease agreement or rental contract for liability and all those things. So I don't know if the DDA would hire an attorney to draft that for us,
Bob
but,
did it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did the one for between NODA and a DDA for the current situation.
okay.
Yeah. And it also has in there though insurance, because NODA is covering the insurance, but then of course the village is
Yeah.
on there as well.
Yeah.
So I just received the draft back on Friday, so
Does DDA pay Bob for his time then?
Yes, I asked him specifically on this one. All of the NODA stuff is he works on our behalf, but this was something specific I asked him to keep track of.
Yeah,
Maureen?
just something to think about. I think a lot of the requests are likely to come in for a Friday and Saturday night, which is also the prime time that we need to use this trolley to drive business
yep.
Yeah.
into the downtown. So
Yeah,
I personally would not
yeah.
support that type of usage.
Now we're
Along
running,
with all the other insurance issues and everything like that.
so just what we're hearing now is liability issues and even making sure we don't compete with our own businesses rather. Those are a couple of things, bullet points.
And it's also very confusing to the public when the trolley's not running, oh yeah, and then it's running, and then it's not. You know, we need to have a consistent
Yeah.
schedule rather than saying it's not available because we're hiring out for.
Yeah, if somebody
$500.
sees it, they might think, oh, it's running tonight, and they go stand over here and wonder why it doesn't pick them
Yeah,
up.
it's just really
Yeah.
confusing.
That'd
to
be
the
terrible.
public.
Other comments, please, Leanne?
Oh, I
Nope.
totally agree with
I'm just, if you have some other ideas, if you want to jot them down, maybe you should ask, Catherine said she likes to take minutes, did you? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that bad
Wrong
here?
second. I would like to second Kelsey's concern about just the liability.
So, Leanne, any comments you want to add on? We'll just kind of, if you don't mind, we'll just go on the roll and just see if we have any fresh ideas.
No, I mean, initially it sounded like a opportunity, but I agree. I think it's only gonna hurt us probably in the long run as far as availability and then liability.
Well, I think we do have to, personally, I think we should plan on being able to rent it out, but maybe some very strict guidelines
Yeah,
and,
daytime stuff.
you know, that sort of. Bryce, your comments, please?
Yeah, same on availability. You know, even if it's not rented out on a Friday, Saturday night, you know, how many weeks did we run into last year where we didn't have it ready, you know, for the next weekend? So if it breaks down on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night, you know, how quickly can those repairs be done? And then it's not even ready for its real purpose coming that weekend.
Right.
Grace?
Yeah, I think because I echo a lot of these concerns about it breaking down, because we do know that it's fixed, but it had a history, as well as like I hadn't even thought about the confusion. If you see the trolley out, you might think that it's going. But I do think like there's a potential for revenue streams. So maybe that's something that it's like when we do finally invest in a new trolley that is a bit more reliable, that we can expand that one into more of a revenue stream.
It
Or
might be a couple of years out if, so I'm just anticipating, one, I've
Yeah.
already had the calls, and apparently Note has too about the availability. So I'd like to, as I said, be proactive, and even if it's limited, I'd like to plan on us doing it with this trolley. But Kelsey, you got some further comments?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm thinking we could kind of try it as a pilot. I mean, if we just have to decide how much time do we want to invest in setting up a policy and legal agreements, insurance, all that stuff to see how it would work. But I definitely have the same concerns that Marie had. I wrote it for the first time on Friday, which was great, but I was bothering Kelly. I had no clue when it was coming, where it was going. It took me 40 minutes to get from Lake Orion to Oxford during rush hour. It was around 4, 5 o'clock. And so I think people are expecting it. It'd be nice to get the schedule a little bit more nailed down and bring general awareness to it before we start going off into anything else.
Marie already said, or do you
Yeah.
want to add? Dorothy,
I
comments?
agree with everybody. I don't think I really have anything new to add to that.
Catherine?
I don't think I have anything new either.
Pete?
I don't think we want to go down that road. I can't imagine it for somebody renting it for a wedding reception or something and end up seeing it bouncing down Delano Road or Bray Road or something out there. Pulling into one of the horse farms or something because they would be the ones that, you know,
Yeah.
would want something like that. I think we're asking for opening a can of worms.
And I'm going to ask Mr. Jacobson, because he works part-time at NODUS, and he's here tonight, we might as well get the benefit of his wisdom. So any comments from you, Steve?
There is a huge market for that. One of my daughters got married in Traverse City about 8 or 10 years ago, and we rented a trolley in Traverse City, and that's a big deal. And there's a company, if somebody really wants one, there's a commercial company that does it, that they can get it. So we really don't need to rent ours. There's other avenues if somebody really wants one.
Should we, any thoughts on maybe putting this to one of our committees to delineate where we go with this? Or have we, it sounds like we have to at least have something formalized, or are we just saying nix altogether?
I think from the board's opinion right now, we just heard from all of us basically saying,
No rental.
right?
Yeah.
I think it makes sense when we do get that second one potentially down the road. So to me, this is a back burner. And if we have a second trolley to play with, then that's a for sure revenue stream opportunity at the time. But to risk it with the one that we have.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of work just to develop the business plan, and then if we're not going forward with it, if it's not really credible at this time, I just think it's gonna be a lot of work.
God, I feel like a minority because I want to rent it out and make some money.
How much are you gonna make compared to what it's gonna cost you and all of the?
Well, I'd have to do the numbers, but I would probably look at the driver's pay, the per rata of the insurance,
Like
make
I
some
said, a lot of
assumptions
work.
on, well, yeah, but that's called making money in a business, you know?
It's offhand, as I recall from approximately 8 years ago, we had the trolley from maybe 4 in the afternoon until midnight, and I think it cost us $800 or $900.
That was how many years ago?
About 8 years ago.
Not worth it.
Even if it was double, that seems, I don't know. Anyhow, should we vote on this, or any thoughts, or we have a consensus already or not, or just? We defer it for right now, I guess. I mean, Pete said we already have a consensus, but it sounds like we don't want to rent it out. Any conversations from our illustrious village manager? How about the young lady sitting to your left? She's so noisy. She'll write down whatever you guys decide. Pay raise for all the board members, write that down. Other than Catherine.
From 0 up to 0.
Okay, well, that was good to have that discussion. I didn't want us to be blindsided because, like I said, I know I've gotten phone calls, I'm sure Kelly has. And Brad's probably heard of some over at NODA already, right? So we'd have to tell NODA they can't rent it out then, is what we're saying.
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not making that conversation, by the way. Grace?
Just so it doesn't get lost again, because I think it was all in the conversation together, can we make a motion for a sinking fund to get started though?
Thank you very much. So, just to go over that again, if you will, please, the idea of a sinking fund would be to start setting some money aside, right? Because we will be buying new tires. We might be doing a lot of other things. We don't know about our sponsors. You know, that industry's having some severe problems right now. That's our current sponsor. Thanks to the village. And
Thanks to the township.
anyhow, so.
Just if it's okay with you, I'm bringing a draft of the budget for the next year to next meeting. I've been working on it. If it's okay, if, you know, that's just a line item in there that I plug into there and we can have the conversation then about how much, or if you want those numbers to move, we could do that in that way.
Definitely, you know, because I know that there's a number of factors with an increase in the revenue for the DDA coming up. There's also some potential cutbacks too with the TIF plan, so that's gonna be a little bit dicey as we go forward. But
That's
right
why
now,
it made it a little harder.
yeah, Grace,
Dorothy's good.
I'm sorry, Dorothy.
So you're speaking about income revenues for that thing. Can we put advertising on it? Can somebody sponsor it and have their name on it? Is there other ways other than renting it out to generate some income for that thing?
Yeah, so we've been having those conversations with Liv, because Liv is a little bit wishy-washy right now with their sponsorship and how long. Because before we thought that they were committing to the full year. So we have some different ideas of some places on the outside of the trolley, and then if we really needed to, we could get down to per weekend for sponsorship, just to make sure that we're covered. So we're having all those conversations with Lake Orion. We're just waiting on Liv to say, you know, if they're out, we kind of held them this past week and just said, hey, if you're not in, then we're gonna open it up, so you have until next week to tell us yes or no, because we have to move on it, because it's running, we have to have a revenue stream. So we're waiting until this Friday for them to tell us like yes or no, and if they don't, we're gonna open it up.
Grace?
I was just wondering, did we not have like a written MOU or a sponsorship agreement with Liv, or what's going on with that situation?
Yeah, so I'm letting Lake Orion handle that portion of it, because that sponsorship is through them, but there is a written agreement that they've pushed up, but we're waiting on that final signature from kind of their top CEO. So it's in their hands, so that's why we kind of just said we can't wait any longer. We thought that this was done, we've had all these conversations, so we gave them to Friday, so.
So Friday, would you send us an email, let us know the results?
Absolutely. Yep.
What else in general, folks, about this? I mean, it's an important subject, and what you brought up is pretty important too.
I just have a question.
Grace?
Ke-
Sorry.
It's okay. Kelly, is there any area on the inside of the trolley? You know, I'm thinking of the placards that are
Yep.
kind of at head level.
Yep, and we have some areas too, and I can share this via email, but some different areas where Liv kind of came in and did some measurements and saw some areas that would be good advertising areas. And then we also have these like plastic tray things on the back too, where like flyers can be inserted. Or even last year we did, when they did like the Kids Day, Funky Monkey had bags, so we had like a little slide-in compartment for bags where people could pick up bags when they got on the trolley. So there's lots of options for sponsorship. We were just trying to, make it easier on all of us and just have one sponsor, but we might have to open it up and do more of a weekly thing, which from a work perspective, it is more work on us, but then I also like the fact that, you know, other businesses could be involved and we could open it up to, you know, if you're having an event, hey, you could be the sponsor of the trolley that week. So I'm okay with either way as long as we can get the funding to cover what we need.
So to repeat, Friday, you have a discussion with Liv about what they're going to do or not.
We had the discussion with them already. They have until Friday to make the decision.
Okay, and you'll let us know, and then plan B would be to find some other advertisers.
Yes, and I
Or
can.
actually, plan B would be for us to eat it out of our budget. Is that
No,
right?
to find other advertisers. I mean, there are other people that we can go to that have showed interest. I don't think that we'll have to eat this out of the DDA budget. I think that we will be able to find the sponsors.
Originally, when we set this up, we were talking around $3,000 a month operated, if I recall. And we're
Yep,
gonna
so
split that
$3,000 would
with,
still cover
we're-
it.
We're gonna split it with Orion 50/50, so potentially 1,500 if we have no sponsors, right?
If need be, yes.
Just so we're all aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that help everyone get a clear idea? Make sure we're all forward conscious. Okay. Almost time to go home. Jeez. Items moved from the consent agenda. We had.
Do you want to share your letter with them?
Yes. There's a letter I wrote there for DTE. Did you notice that? I just wanted a polite letter to our friends at DTE to say, shame on you. Please keep the power on so that we can operate the businesses and those kind of things like that. I didn't want to sound rude or snarky or whatever else, so I think it came across politely. So we'll take care of that. What, tomorrow, do you think, Kelly? Fill in the blank there?
I will.
Okay. And let's see, what else do we have here? Pretty much covers it, really. So board member comments. I guess we're at the finale, the grand finale. We don't have finales, we have grand finales. Pete, you want to start, please? Leanne?
I have one quick thing that I maybe could have brought up under design earlier, but I don't know if anyone else noticed the Party Shop's awning tore with the recent wind.
Oh, I was on it that
The
Monday.
bane of my existence.
Our ordinance officer is working on it.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just curious if there was.
I think they have until the end of the month to take it down, he said, or was it next month?
I didn't see the letter. He sent me the pictures, I saw the pictures, and then he did send it ours to him.
Yeah.
Catherine, comments, please?
Okay.
Bryce?
No comment.
Dorothy?
Your letter, is that a spelling error or is that some
That's
sort
for
of
Kelly to fill in. I just
coding?
thought we would make
No, I
it.
think there's a typo.
service, period, E would also
Supposed to
appreciate.
say we.
We'll have to spell check it and fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
It's
because
just a
Okay.
double thing for me.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
word.
We would also appreciate communication that we can pass on to the community service. Thank you.
I don't know if that was the final draft.
Grace, comments?
Nope.
Marie?
No, I'm Marie.
Well, I said Grace and I said Marie. I'm flip-flopping. I'm trying to keep you guys on your toes.
No, I said my piece.
Kelsey?
Nothing from me, thank you.
What? All these comments I hear from her muttering under her breath about the township?
It's just one.
Well, first of all, speaking of that, well, thank you, Kelsey, for being on the DDA board. I appreciate you being here and what you bring to the table. And
Thanks for
The,
having me back.
it was a tough call, but
Had no choice.
Ouch.
I didn't say I had no choice, he had no choice.
also, thank everyone for the conversation. I think it was pretty good discussions we've had tonight on a lot of issues that are important to our community. Thanks again to Mr. Jacobson and Mr. Medor back there for showing up, working overtime.
Budget time.
Yeah, okay. Pay raise time is not a long ways from now, so don't worry about it. And that's about all, other than thank you very much, and Kimberly, Kelly, and our intern, thank you, our future intern. Look forward to having that intern on board to take care of all these fun things that we do. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so the.